Tonight, two government ministers question the integrity of the Integrity Commission itself. Miss Hot 7 TV sizzles during the 2019 sashing of the National Carnival Queen contestant.
It is a pleasure to be part of this fairy tale evening.
And less than 1 week after opposition leader Philip J. Pierre called for the resignation of Guy Joseph, the MP gives his response. The details of these stories and more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Monday, the 20th of May, 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We're on Flow Channel 117, also being simulcast on Kiss FM, on our website, www.caribbeanhottv.com, and of course on our free Caribbean Hot FM mobile app. I'm lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Two government ministers have indicated that they have done their part in declaring their assets to the island's Integrity Commission. However, one is questioning whether the board is driven by integrity itself or ulterior motives. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
During a Monday morning press briefing, two government ministers were asked whether they had declared all their assets to the Integrity Commission. The question was raised after the Office of the Integrity Commission sent out a call to remind persons in public office to file their declarations for the year which ended December 31st, 2018. With a number of officials failing to meet the deadline, the date was extended to the 31st of May 2019. Out of the two ministers asked, Housing Minister Guy Joseph immediately jumped into defense mode, questioning the integrity of the commission itself. He went on to give an example of one of his run-ins with them.
I can tell you that every time I file my assets, they found a reason to send it back. And I'm giving you an example. Not this present Integrity Commission, the previous Integrity Commission. No matter what I gave them, they were not satisfied. So I had a truck, an Isuzu Elf, 1988 model. So that would make the truck 31 years today. At the time, it would have been about 27 years. The Isuzu Elf, for those who don't know, is the smallest dump trucks you get, a 1.5 ton. Truck was registered third party from the day that I bought it. I gave Integrity Commission all of the information. You know what they sent back to me? They sent back to me that I need to take this truck to a garage, do an evaluation, and bring the evaluation for them. Until I have done that, they will not accept that I have completed my Integrity Commission documents.
Joseph said he knows exactly what he is up against, and this is precisely why he has nothing to hide.
While that was going on, there were other persons in government who are not filing their documents. You see the people who get away with this? I'm not one of them. I have to make sure I do my taxes. I have to make sure I comply with every requirement. Because I'm like a Wavet devant pool. That's how it is.
Meanwhile, taking a more demure approach to the question was Grosley MP Leonard Spider Montoute, who is currently the island's acting Prime Minister. Montoute kept it short and simple.
Sometimes you make a submission, but it's inadequate and they ask you to provide more information. That is the case with me.
According to the Integrity in Public Life Cap 1.19 of the revised edition of the Laws of St. Lucia, where persons fail to file a declaration, the Commission shall publish the fact in the Gazette and send a report to the Director of Public Prosecution for further action. Following this, fines of up to $50,000 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years or both for offences such as failure to file a declaration may apply. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
Less than 1 week after opposition leader Philip J. Pierre called for the resignation of Economic Development Minister Guy Joseph, the MP has given his response. Joseph calls Pierre's calls absurd, saying the opposition leader should use himself as a moral example before passing judgment on anyone else.
On Thursday, the 16th of May, leader of the opposition Philip JPM made this declaration regarding actions which he believes should be taken against Housing Minister Guy Joseph over the now infamous and controversial Pajoa letter.
A former Prime Minister has, and rightfully so, stated that if the letter and signature were indeed authentic, that was a gross violation of ministerial code and the minister should be disciplined. Accordingly, the St. Lucia Labour Party calls on all parties to totally disregard that letter and requests that the Prime Minister relieve Guy Joseph of the portfolio of economic development for his gross misbehavior in public office.
Well, it did not take long before Joseph responded to Pierre's statement. On Monday morning, Joseph retorted in the manner for which he is best known.
I say the opposition leader is just a fool. That's what he is. You know, let me say here, and for anybody to even say that a minister should resign over whether a letter was written. I mean, it is absurd that this leader of the opposition, who I saw on the center page of a newspaper, overlooking the signing of Greinberg, who was it Greinberg or Rochamel? Rochamel was part of the government that dealt with the Greinberg matter that is costing us millions of dollars. Now, don't mistake me. Two wrongs never make a right. So I'm not saying this to say that if something wrong was done on my part, that because they did it. That's not the point I'm making. I want to be very clear. But if you want to speak with any moral authority on any matter, you must stand as an example of having stood for some principle at some point in time in your life.
Joseph said Pierre has remained mute on numerous unscrupulous deals signed by the previous administration, including the Robert Ainsworth report filed about Joseph himself, as well as the UNEP geothermal contract and the Jack Greinberg agreement. On the topic of staying mute, the minister refused to directly answer whether he indeed wrote the letter.
The question is, did you or did you not write that letter?
I cannot account. I don't know how else I can say that. I have said that every letter I have written is in my ministry. Or it is, if we have written a letter to a government, an agency, an entity, it is with the entity. I cannot account for the letters that circulate on social media. I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it got there. I cannot tell you that this is the letter that I wrote.
Joseph said if the letter becomes a public document, then comparisons can be made. Until then, he said, whilst in government, they are bound by oaths of confidentiality where certain subjects cannot be disclosed to the general public, and so, even with details that can clear the air, if they are confidential, they cannot be shared. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
The sashing ceremony for the National Carnival Queen Pageant 2019 took place on Saturday, the 18th of May at the Body Holiday Le Sport. Hot 7 TV sashed Miss Tamikwa de Turville as Miss Hot 7 TV 2019. This is Hot 7 TV's first time sponsoring a contestant for the National Carnival Queen Pageant. Tamikwa de Turville will compete in the competition, which is slated for the 5th of July 2019. She will appear in position number 7. De Turville is from Dennery. She is the reigning Miss Mabuya Valley. She was also the first runner-up in the 2019 Miss Independence pageant. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the sashing ceremony.
As your reigning National Carnival Queen, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this year's sashing of the National Carnival Queen contestants. Do enjoy this evening's proceedings.
We introduce you to contestant number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, bonsoir. I am 23-year-old Justinian Alyssa Charles from Marshall. Here's to a fabulous evening.
That was contestant number 1, Miss Justinian Charles, and she's proudly sponsored by MBC.
Thank you, MBC. I look forward to this exciting journey.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am 19-year-old Jacques Wooding from Bonte Grizzly, and here's to new beginnings.
Contestant number 2, Jacques Wooding, is proudly sponsored by Piton.
Thank you, Peter. I am proud to be your brand ambassador.
21-year-old Juliana Lamontagne from Sulphur City, Soufrière. I am honored to be part of tonight's proceedings. Do have yourselves a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Miss Juliana Lamontagne is proudly sponsored by Sugar Beach.
Messi, Sugar Beach, a Viceroy Resort. I promise to be a great ambassador.
Ladies, gentlemen, good evening. I am 19-year-old Naomi Tabitha St-Remy from Sunbirds Castries. Tonight, have a drink on me.
Miss Naomi St-Remy is sponsored by Massey.
Thank you, Massey Stores, for making me part of your family 2019.
A pleasant evening to all. I am 18-year-old Arisa Nakima Dennis from the community of Oleo-Denry. Do have an enjoyable evening.
Arisa Dennis is sponsored by Crystal Clear.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank my sponsor, Crystal Clear, for this privilege. I promise to represent your brand to my full potential.
Hello, St. Lucia. I am 22-year-old Wenya Fane from the People's Republic of Labrie. Looking forward to sharing this magical journey with you. Enjoy!
Wenya Vane, contestant number 6, is proudly sponsored by the Labrie Cooperative Credit Union.
It is a great honor that I am the ambassador as Miss Labrie Cooperative Credit Union. The Labrie Credit Union, making things much better just for you. A match made in heaven.
Good evening. I am 18-year-old Timikwa Bashandi Tovel from Denry. It is a pleasure to be part of this fairy tale evening.
Miss Tamikwa de Turville is proudly sponsored by Hot 7.
Thank you, Hot 7 TV, for sponsoring me. As contestant number 7, I think we make the perfect combination. Let's take your brand to the next level. Good evening, all. My name is Janelle Fontenelle from Moshi. Please have yourself a splendid night.
Contestant number 8, Miss Janelle Fontenelle, is proudly sponsored by Vibe Radio.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank my sponsor, Vibe Radio. Now I'm feeling the vibe. Tonight and throughout the rest of the journey, we're the new dream team.
The 8 contestants are all beautiful and talented, and certainly Miss Hot 7 TV sizzled. Again, the pageant will be held on Friday, the 5th of July, 2019. This is the Hot 7 Nightly News. Still to come, one cabinet member answers to accusations of a shameful lack of progress on decriminalizing marijuana. Mayor Peterson Francis says vendors will no longer be allowed to take advantage of the CCC's leniency. And find out about the movement dubbed Ghetto Struggle. That and more coming up after the break.